Stacey and Tristram are both students on the Anglia Ruskin University Music Therapy MA training course. Like most other postgraduate music therapy students, they already have a degree, a high level of proficiency on one or two musical instruments, and some knowledge of music therapy and the client groups that music therapists generally work with. In much the same way as Stacey and Tristram are communicating through their playing here, music therapists use music to communicate with their clients. When working with Matthew, a little boy of 3 who has been diagnosed as autistic, the music therapist Amelia Oldfield first tries to follow and echo what he's doing with his mother.
Bang! Bang!
He flits from one thing to another, but occasionally the music therapist is able to engage him in brief, playful musical exchanges. Later in the session, she tries to echo his movements and noise exchanges with his mother. She reinforces the strong and healthy bond between mother and child. During the session, Matthew often chooses to withdraw from the adults by going behind a screen at one end of the room. However, he continues to communicate through vocal sounds and particularly responds to Amelia's clarinet playing. Towards the end of the session, he is able to have a brief exchange with Amelia on the piano. Matthew has made great progress since he and his mother started weekly individual music therapy sessions 6 months ago. His mother is convinced that the sessions have enabled Matthew to use sounds and later words to communicate.
Yeah, because at first he wasn't using any speech, just sounds. Whereas since he's come to music therapy, he's definitely started talking and vocalising a lot more. So it's brought me to tears a couple of times seeing the way Matthew's been. When we first came, especially, he really, he'd done some things then that he's never done before, which was really good.
A large percentage of music therapists in the UK work in adult psychiatry.
In order to acquire the necessary skills to become music therapists, students are offered a large number of lectures and workshops by 5 music therapists: Helen Odell Miller, Amelia Oldfield, Eleanor Richards, Tony Wigram and Helen Loth. each in their areas of clinical expertise.
Music therapists work with adults. The sorts of things that people might be suffering from would include schizophrenia, manic depression, depression, dementia, and old age related.
Helen Odell Miller and Amelia Oldfield designed and set up the course, which started in September 1994. The students gain a thorough understanding of several different music therapists' way of working, as well as hearing presentations by a large number of other music therapists specialising in different areas. Students will also have lectures from other specialists, such as psychologists, speech therapists and physiotherapists. At the beginning of the course, they are asked to observe a mother and baby, or in this case, a granny, baby and toddler, over a period of several months in order to gain an understanding of normal child development.
Ooh. Pop it in again. Ready, steady. Ooh. Where is it? That one? Yes, you can see it. Ready? Open wide.
An important feature of the music therapy training course at Anglia Ruskin University is that students have 3 placements in different clinical settings while attending college for part of each week throughout the 2 years. The first placement is an introductory 4-week, 2-day-a-week placement, which prepares the student for a longer 5-month placement after Christmas.
Well, as you can see, this is the music therapy office.
Right.
This is actually shared by 3 of us.
Okay.
But there is a desk space for you.
The second placement is a 3-month, 1-day-a-week placement which takes place in the autumn of the student's 2nd year. A qualified and experienced music therapist on site will oversee and supervise the work in the first 2 placements, and an external music therapist will supervise the student's final 3-month case study.
So as you can see, this gives you some sense of the shape of the timetable over the next 8 weeks. And the central thing really is your clinical work. And you've got some regular sessions booked in there. We have some referrals for you, and you'll be working with 2 different individual clients and also with a group.
Will that be in this room? Will it be based here?
Yes, all the work will happen here, that's right. And you will also, of course, there'll be regular supervision for that work. So you and I will meet on a weekly basis to talk about your clinical work. We'll also make a slot every 2 weeks where we can take some supervision time just to talk in more general terms about the placement and how things are going. All the therapists here work as part of a multidisciplinary team. So in addition to music therapists, on the team there is an art therapist, occupational therapist, physio and speech therapists, consultant psychiatrist, psychologist and a team of nurses. So we're actually quite a big group of people. And that multidisciplinary working is extremely important to us. So you'll be able to talk to our psychiatrist, to somebody from psychology, to some other therapists and so on, both to get a sense of how they work and their approach to working with our client group, but also I hope to get a sense of what is their perception of music therapy and how music therapy fits in to our thinking from their point of view. You'll also see that there are some regular meetings within the music therapy department. And those are times where we sit down as music therapists together, and each time one of us presents a piece of casework, sometimes using video and tape and so on. And obviously we hope that you'll come to those meetings as well. And that's a chance for you to see some of our ongoing work in progress and see the kind of diversity of clinical work that we're involved in and the diversity of clients that we work with.
In addition to the clinical placements, each student will work with an individual client or group of clients for a total of 16 sessions each. This work will be overseen in college during the weekly group supervision, with a music therapist with the special expertise in the clinical area that the student is working in. May is working with Adrian, a little boy of 4 with severe and multiple learning difficulties. He is also partially sighted and physically disabled. She brings a video of her work to Amelia to discuss during a supervision session.
I thought that was really good. It was really moving, actually, to see you working with Adrian like that. It seemed to take quite a time before he responded. It seemed to take, it was quite a lead up, wasn't there, before he started playing a little bit. And I thought you stayed with him and you waited with him. And then he started responding. And then, there was a bit where he leant forward and went onto the piano. And I suppose it's a bit difficult to know whether he just lost control or whether he was so intent on what he was doing that he was actively playing more. But I thought your response was right, you went with it.
Well, we were having keyboard improvisation with Elaine the other day, and she was saying that it's really important the way the therapist plays, and the therapist should really play to support the client's playing. And sometimes, the client can just be swept away by the therapist's playing and not really be supported.
And how did you become aware of that? Was that through playing at the keyboard?
No, actually, she made us, we had a role reversal, and I was the client and Esther was playing the piano, so I actually had a first-hand experience of what it felt like to be the client.
Well done, Esther. It actually, how was that? Yeah, was it different?
Oh yeah, I mean I really felt supported. I didn't feel the pressure to sort of move on.
Yes.
Yes.
Because you really picked up the character of a very delicate playing. Somebody. Well done. Excellent.
One of the reasons for doing this and actually experiencing the passion.
Most music therapy students need help to learn how to improvise in the clinical setting. Although many students are classically trained musicians, this alone is not sufficient musicianship to address the needs of clients. Elaine Streeter is an experienced music therapist who has taught on several of the music therapy training courses in Great Britain. Here, she teaches keyboard improvisation to the students. In this excerpt, she gives students an opportunity to improvise in pairs and reflect on the process.
So it was by putting yourself kind of in the client's position, sort of imagining you might be in Adrian's place, that you could feel the music pushing you on or giving you the freedom to do what you felt like doing.
That's right, yes.
A few weeks back we were talking about my keyboard playing and how perhaps I was playing a bit too structured and I could free it up a bit. Well, I was just thinking about this bit with Adrian, and I felt that it was important that I played quite a structured way when he was bouncing. Adrian's bouncing up and down and down. It's time to stop. Oh, the music stopped. He's still bouncing.
That's exactly the sort of instance where you need to use structured music, where it wouldn't be appropriate to do something free and atonal, if you like. With his strong bouncing, you had to give him a strong beat, and I think a harmonic structure was what was right there.
But here on the other hand, I think you were right, and my playing needed to be more free.
How could you express that musically? How could we think about that together as a group through musical improvisation? And we'll think about that related back to your 8-week placements in psychiatry and mental health.
It is important for the students to learn about running music therapy groups. Here, Helen illustrates group processes by encouraging students to reflect on their own musical contributions to the group.
So now that you're moving into your small groups, if you could, within your small group, think of a theme that comes up for you, something that you find that you have in common, thinking back to your clinical setting where you were. And that might encompass issues of working with people with depression. It might encompass issues to do with fear, anger. It might encompass things to do with confusion.
Depression came from their loss of control, really, over their life and coming to terms.
There's a sort of guilt associated with that, like I'm a burden on my family, and I think they realise it in that sort of attitude of depression.
Then, amongst yourselves, then think about a theme that's related to your particular sort of issues that have been coming up while you've been thinking back to that placement. It might be issues of confusion relating to working with people with dementia, maybe issues of disturbance, going into places where there are people suffering from things like schizophrenia, manic depression. We've all experienced that. What did that feel like?
So let's start with depression and go into mania and just finish on the right.
Yeah,
Or
sure.
just have to be in tune with each other.
Another place where students can think about the role they might play in these processes is in the experiential music therapy session, which is run in 2 groups of 7 or 8 students throughout the 2 years, weekly in the first year and slightly less frequently in the second year. This is run by an outside music therapist, and material explored in these sessions remains confidential to the group.
In contrast, cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT, whilst being less interested in the underlying conditions of subjectivity, nonetheless seems more effective in the treatment of phobias. Simply put, psychoanalysis seeks therapeutic change.
All this experiential work is underpinned with a substantial number of more formal lectures by psychiatrists and psychotherapists, and students are assessed on a number of essays in the more theoretical aspects of the course.
This is something I was talking to Helen about yesterday. I think that music therapy is very, very important, and it has a very close connection with psychoanalysis, insofar as, at least in this country, the central method of music therapy proceeds by improvisation, and the central theme of psychoanalytic exploration proceeds by free association. You know, that's why there is such an interest in psychoanalysis in relation to music therapy.
By 2005, it was clear that the MA Music Therapy training course was here to stay, and Anglia Ruskin University built a special music therapy clinic where clients could be treated and music therapy students could be taught. The clinic includes a waiting area, 2 treatment rooms with a video observation booth in between them, and a supervision room where the past students' MAs are stored. Naturally, a wide range of musical instruments is available. Vicky Kenny was one of the first music therapists to qualify from the Anglia Ruskin University Music Therapy MA course in July 1995. Like many other newly qualified music therapists, she could only find part-time music therapy employment to start with, and has had to be quite flexible, sometimes travelling from one place to another. 3 years later, she was fully employed. Here she is working with Robert, an 11-year-old boy with emotional difficulties. Robert has chosen to improvise about enjoyment. Robert's free playing and singing allow him to be spontaneous and creative. After the playing, he is able to talk about other aspects of his life that he enjoys. This is a sign of progress, as in the past he's been unable to talk about any positive aspects of his life.
Eating and music. Yeah.
And also being at school.
And also being at school.
And home playing football on my home. Like last night when I was at a foster care home called Amanda, I made a football thing, massive, about there to there, big sheet of roll of paper. We cutted it and we made all the lines and teams and names, and like one of the name we all enjoyed was Joe Van Gogh is pretty good at football.
Students qualify as music therapists after 2 years full-time training. In the second year, students write an MA dissertation. Vicky's dissertation was about music therapy and play, and in it she discusses the way in which Robert plays in sessions through storytelling, acting and singing to an imaginary audience.
Do you think they've gone away?
Don't know. Where have they gone? No, they're coming again! If they come one more again. Freeze! Stay there.
So, what aspects of the training does Vicky feel were most important?
It's difficult to say, really. I felt everything was important. The clinical placements were certainly one very important aspect of the training, and so was the experiential group and the keyboard improvisation. I also particularly enjoyed the workshops and the input from the dance movement therapist we had and the drama therapist, and I've often been reminded of these in my work with Robert. I did feel it was essential for me to have my own individual therapy throughout the training, as a number of quite difficult issues were raised to me as I was confronted with different and challenging clinical situations. And of course I don't feel I finished learning how to be a music therapist. I continue to learn all the time, through experience, the professionals I work with, and through clinical supervision. The course provided me with a basic foundation to build on, but I don't think I'll ever stop learning.